بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم، وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وعنده مفاتح الغيب لا يعلمها إلا هو، ويعلم ما في البر والبحر، وما تسقط من ورقة إلا يعلمها، ولا حبة في ظلمات الأرض، ولا رطب ولا يابس إلا في كتاب مبين. With Allah alone are the keys of the unseen. No one knows them except Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He knows what is in the land and sea. Not even a leaf falls without His knowledge, nor a grain in the darkness of the earth, or anything green or dry, but is written in a perfect record. Welcome back to the seventh episode of Islamic Psychology 102, where we explore close reading and contemplation and reflection on the book of Ajaib al-Qalb, The Marvels of the Heart, by Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, which is a section in his longer masterpiece, Ihya Ulum al-Din. I'm sharing my screen now, inshallah. So last time we said we stopped. We are still in this chapter 11, where Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali is telling us about the promptings of shaitan, the whispers, the passions, and the divine guidance against the whisper of shaitan. We reviewed that Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali give the examples of the state of the heart as a dome, as the target, at the basin, and as the mirror, with the promptings or the negative thoughts coming like wind or arrows or pouring water or liquid or shadows, endless shifting forms. We said that there are internal drives for the human being, like imagination, desire, anger, and temperament, and there are 5 senses that are external that also arouse his negative thought. We've seen the activation pipeline moving from a khatir to a raghba, azm, niya, and then the a'dha will take the action, the limbs. We said that these thoughts can be good and can be bad, can be evil. If they are good, they constitute light, and if they are evil, they are shadow. We said that there are different influences of the heart. Some of them are internal and some of them are external. The external ones include the senses, but the internal ones are many. Some of them are related to the mizaj, temperament, some to the drives of the appetitive or the anger, some to khayal, fantasies, and some to thoughts. The thoughts specifically, they have the inner speech, which is hadith nafs, satanic whispers like waswasa, or angelic whispers like ilham. And we reviewed to the hadith that Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali quoted in this respect. He also referred to the hadith that every human being is made with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with 2 forces, the angelic light and the demonic shadow, and both of them are equal, and it is only that the hawa or the passion or the whims of the human being that makes the demonic shadow more powerful, because they said the weakest link where shaitan will penetrate the system of the human being. However, we can stop the flame by the remembrance of Allah, which will make the shadow contract, as it is al-khannas, al-waswas, al-khannas. We talked about different demons or devils that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam named for wudu and for salah, khanzab and walhan especially. And we mentioned the story of Abu al-Ala ibn Ziyad, who said that if your heart is like a cluttered nest with worldly attachments, it is the pasture of shaitan and playground of shaitan. If you sleep while this house is empty from envy, empty from love of this dunya, empty from having any hatred to anybody, then shaitan will not like be interested in getting into this house. Okay. Okay, I think we stopped here at this part, and we said that Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam, one day shaitan came to him and said to him, say La ilaha illallah. He said, it is a true word. It is kalimatu haq. This is the word of truth. But I will not say it because you asked me to say it. Why that? Because this is a prompting from shaitan. He starts with these tricks, the tricks that show something that is good for you. But then if you follow it, then you will find that it is not, it is evil. And so, subhanallah, we mentioned also that Amir Abdul Qadir al-Jazairi, who was a leader of the revolution in Algeria against the French, he said, if France asks me to say La ilaha illallah, I will not say it. To make it very clear that I'm not following your path in any way. We stopped on this when Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali gives us a long hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is giving us a story of a person from Bani Israel. And in fact, he's also providing tafsir of one of the ayat to show how shaitan can penetrate into the system of the human being and some of the tricks of shaitan. Imam Ibn al-Qayyim later will dedicate a whole book called Talbis Iblis, the ways of shaitan deception, the deception of shaitan, the satanic deception. And he will mention more than 20 ways the deception happens from shaitan. We are more interested into the promptings, into the waswasa, into the negative thoughts and the intrusive thoughts that shaitan causes to the human being. So, subhanallah, Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali is giving us two examples. The first example is not the hadith. The second example is the hadith. He says he will come to the scholar and he would say to the scholar, look at the people around. They are ignorant. They are heedless. Without your knowledge, they will enter hellfire. Don't you want to have some rahmah on them? Don't you have any mercy in your heart for these people? Don't you feel the urge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save them? So the scholar would think, this is really my role and my duty, and I have to do it. Then shaitan will tell him, Allah have given you the blessing of a clear heart and an eloquent tongue and agreeableness between the people. So why don't you do it? So he starts doing it, like telling people what to do and to follow the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then shaitan says to him, you are not doing your best. Why don't you use some of the poetry that you memorize? Why don't you use some of the metaphors that people like? Why don't you show them like the beauty of the language of what you are doing? So scholars say, yeah, let me do it now. So he starts like beautifying his words. And then shaitan is like step by step, seethingly, he is getting into riya. He is getting into not doing it for the cause of Allah, but for the impact on the people. And then he will say to him, look at the people who are following you. They are so many. You have become so powerful. You are superior than them. They know nothing without you. So the scholar now will be ready to look at himself as better and higher than the other people. And then he will despise the other people. So subhanAllah, it is just one step after another step. So this scholar, while he has started by being a real scholar of Islam, he ended by being arrogant, by being seeing other people lower than him and inferior to him. And this is how Shaitan dragged him step by step to go through this. So this is just one example. So it starts with preach and save them, preach and save them, while he is hiding the desire for the followers. Then he will say, okay, now beautify your words. And while he is hiding the vanity, arrogance, and ostentation. Ostentation is riya, hypocrisy, like spiritual hypocrisy. And show your knowledge. Why do you hide your knowledge? While he is hiding the pride and arrogance. So Shaitan has got this trap, deadliest trap, is disguising the past to ruin a righteous advice. Subhanallah. We can now understand why Umar ibn al-Khattab would sometimes, while he is making khutbah among the people, he would insult himself. Out of nowhere, out of context, he would say something to himself that is insulting. So people would ask him later on, why did you say this, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen? I mean, you were talking in a topic and then you just stopped, insulted yourself, made yourself look inappropriate, and then continued. He said, yes, because Shaitan came to me at this time and he tried to show me that I am superior to you. So I stopped him by showing him that I'm inferior and insulting myself. So he went away. Uh, you can also understand this. There was like an imam, a good scholar in Egypt, Sheikh Sha'rawi rahimahullah, who would say that once he finishes one of his classes where thousands would attend to his classes, in his way back, he would stop the driver and then he will get into one of the like distant mosques, and he will not go to pray there. He will go in order to clean the washrooms without anyone seeing him. And why is he doing this? He doesn't want anyone to see him. He just wants to show himself that you are not superior to the people. You can clean their filth and their dirt in the washrooms. So they are trying to block the urge of shaitan and the illusion of the shaitan. Now, the tale of the monk of Bani Israel, which is mentioned in the hadith by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we'll see how he descends from the top of piety and righteousness to the bottom of darkness. Subhanallah. And Imam Abu Hamd al-Ghazali introduces this by saying that Shaitan never asks for everything at once. He builds a staircase into the dark. And the person who is mindful is the person who can see and sense and stop themselves. They know that this is a khatir. They know that there is a raghba now, and then it turns into a azm. They can stop themselves before it turns into a niyyah and an action. So this was a righteous man from Bani Israel. He was a monk and he was living alone in a tent outside of the city, away from the people, and he was worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all day and night. One day, a group of people got a young woman and they said to her, said to the monk that this girl has been possessed by shaitan and you are so knowledgeable, we would like you to treat her. He says, no, I will not do this. She is a woman and I'm a man, and this is not appropriate. This is not right. So Shaitan will come to him and says, convincing him to take the sick girl for healing. He would say, this is a poor girl and you have got knowledge from Allah, and the people are waiting at your door and they are expecting you to help them, and you will be blamed by Allah if you do not do this. Why do you restrict your knowledge? Why do you conceal what you know? Why don't you just treat her and let her go? Then he will go to the people and he would say to them, this monk will not respond to you as long as you are standing here. So just leave the girl at his door and leave. Once he finds her alone, he will have pity on her and he will get her inside. And so they leave, and they leave the girl at the door of the monk. And she starts crying and knocking at his door. So he comes back to the monk and he says, this is at least your guest, get her some food, get her inside. So he gets the girl inside and he starts ruqya and he starts like reciting ayat and doing a hadith. But this proximity, the shaitan turns it into temptation, temptation of touch and temptation of proximity, of coming closer to the girl. And because she is possessed and because she is weak, she does not know how to defend it. So day after day and night after night until the monk commits fornication. So subhanallah, started with asking him to heal and to treat the sick. And in fact, this is not the end. And it moved to committing fornication. As he committed fornication, zina, with this girl, what happened is that he came to him and he said to him, what did you do? What have you done? This is a big scandal. So how will you conceal what you have done? Her people will come to you tomorrow. They sent you a messenger saying that they will come after 1 week. And tomorrow at the end of the week, what would you do? And then the monk says, I don't know what to do. He says, the best thing to do is to kill her. So kill her and bury her body. And when they come, tell them that she just left and you don't know where she is. So the monk now has got down into these steps. He kills the girl. So after committing zina, he commits murder. He kills the girl and he digs a grave for her and he buries her. Then Shaitan will get the people of the girl, the family of the girl, coming to him, knocking at his door. He says, yes, I got her inside. She was treated well. And then I let her go and I haven't seen her. So I don't know where she is now. They are about to leave. Then Shaitan comes to them and say, look around. Do you see any sign of the girl? Can you see this necklace, for example? This shoe, isn't it your girl's thing, the property of her? They see the evidence and they say to the monk, you harmed her. We have got evidence that you harmed her. Under the pressure of the people, he doesn't know what to do. So he would look around trying to run or to save himself. Then Shaitan comes to him and he says, I am Shaitan. I am the one who touched her at the very beginning to make her sick. And I came to you and I asked you to do zina. And then I asked you to do murder. And you followed me. There is just one step left. Because as I got you into all of this trouble, I am the only one who can get you out of that. And he says, yes, please, please tell me what I should do in order to save myself now. He said, you just need to prostrate to me. Make 2 sujood to me. Make 2 sujood to me that showed that you are worshipping me and not worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now look at the promptings that got him from the top of piety and ibadah to Allah to the level of making zina, then to the level of committing murder, and now he makes these 2 sajda, total kufr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ibadah to shaitan. Once he does this, Shaitan says, Inni bari'un mink. I'm free of you. I deceived you. Subhanallah. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited the ayah that says, كَمَثَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِذْ قَالَ لِلْإِنسَانِ اكْفُرْ فَلَمَّا كَفَرَ قَالَ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّنكَ. Subhanallah. So this ayah, the كَمَثَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ, which means this is like the example of shaitan. Okay, let's see where is this ayah, exactly the context of the ayah. كمثل الشيطان إذ قال للإنسان اكفر. This is in Surah Al-Hashr. He says, they are the like. So the people who followed Shaitan, they are the like Shaitan when he lures someone to disbelieve. He said to the human being, disbelieve. Then after they have done so, فَلَمَّا كَفَرَ, he will say on Judgment Day, or in the hadith in the same day, I have absolutely nothing to do with you. إني أخاف الله رب العالمين. I truly fear Allah, the Lord of the world. فكان عاقبتهما أنهما في النار خالدين فيها وذلك جزاء الظالمين. So they will both end up in the fire. We know that Shaitan will go to the fire. Staying there forever, this is the reward of the wrongdoers. So, subhanallah, he came with a piece of advice. Help the people with the sick girl. Then they led him into proximity, and then the khatir worked, and the raghba flamed, and then the niyyah came out, and he did the fornication part. Then again another khatir for killing her, for murder, and he followed it till the end. And then another khatir for prostrating and betrayal and kufr, and he followed it. So he did not stop himself in any of these. And as you can see, Shaitan is just making suggestions. He's not forcing him to do anything. He's just suggesting. I suggest that you get the girl inside. I suggest that you treat her. I suggest that you touch her. I suggest that you come closer to her. I suggest that you kill her. I suggest that you bury her. All of this. And once he has done this, this is khudlan, abandonment. He abandons the human being. So Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali says, لا ينجي من كثرة الوساوس إلا سد أبواب الخواطر. So he says, in order to get cleared from Shaitan's promptings, you stop at the khatir door. So you stop the khatir, the prompting thought, the fleeting thought, at the very beginning. And he says that khawatir comes mostly from hawas khams, from the five senses. So you guard your gaze, you guard your hearing, your touch, your smell, your taste, because these are the ones that will get the khatir into your system. If a khatir has already got into your system, you can stop it. You can stop it and then eliminate it with dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One day, a man came to Al-Hasan al-Basri, and he said, does shaitan sleep? This is a very interesting question. He says, does shaitan sleep? He said, he then smiled and said, if he sleeps, we would have been comforted. We would be free. We would not be troubled. Which means that shaitan does not sleep. Shaitan is non-stop working. It is this creature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in this way. But he is having nothing to do except suggestion. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, إن المؤمن يمضي شيطانه كما يمضي أحدكم بعيره في سفره. He says, each one of you has got a shaitan. You can weaken your shaitan and make it so thin and so weak as you do with your camel in your travel. So if you overuse your camel and you do not care of it, you do not entertain it, what happens is that it becomes weakened, it becomes sick, it becomes thinned and pale. So your shaitan will be just like this. One Abdullah ibn Mas'ud says that shaitanul mu'mini mahzul, the shaitan of a believer is so thin and so pale. Qais ibn al-Hajjaj, one of the tabi'een, said, my shaitan talked to me and he said, I got to you, I started with you when I was like the size of a camel. Now I am the size of a bird. He says, why have you diminished to this size? He says, tudhibuni bi dhikrillah. You are melting me. The more dhikr you are doing, you are melting me into this very small size. So this is the ecosystem of the soul. We have angelic inspiration, which is ilham, but we have also demonic whispers, waswasa. The demonic whisper try to get into your soul, into your qalb. And the way that gets it through is the hawa, the internal passion. And the shield to keep it out will be the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The demonic whispers will then try to get through the external senses. So tries to get from each part to your system, but the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps them out. And dhikr means remembrance. And remembrance means that you are using your mindfulness in order to make the remembrance. Hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and this is a graphic hadith, where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam draw a line on the ground. So Abdullah ibn Mas'ud says Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam drew this line for us. And then he said, this is the sabil of Allah. This is the path of Allah, straight path. The straight path, as-sirat al-mustaqim of Allah. And then he made some smaller lines to the two sides. And then he said, and these are the different paths of shaitan. Each one of these have got a shaitan on its entrance. And he's calling on the believer to come to this cause or to come to this path. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam recited the ayah that says, وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِي مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوهُ وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا السُّبُلَ فَتَفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِهِ. The ayah says, this is my straight path, follow it. And do not follow the paths of shaitan, because it will mislead you. So how to know that this path is really the path of Allah or the path of shaitan? You just be mindful of what is the meaning of this. Is this really for the cause of Allah, or is it for my nafs? Is it really that I would like to deliver the hikmah and the wisdom to the people, or am I doing this because I would like to speak? I would like people to applaud and clap to me, or I would like people to get me to the top, or I would like to get money for this, or like to get reputation for that. Sometimes people are deceived, but it will come one day when you feel this arrogance, this haughtiness in your heart. You feel that you will not be able to give it for free or to make it for sadaqah, and then you know that you have diverted of the way. And the best thing to return back is dhikr of Allah and what the Salihin told us about, which is insulting yourself, diminishing the power of yourself and the power of your shaitan. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says in the hadith, "Man hama hawla al-hima yushiku an yaqa'a fihi." So the heart is like a premises, and if you let the people or the forces around this fortress come closer to it, it is about to get inside it. So keep it protected, keep it within the guarding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Guard the gates, guard the five senses, guard your gaze, guard your hearing, guard your touch, guard your taste, guard your smell, guard each one of these, and be mindful of your own thoughts. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوا. Let's also look at this ayah. ما في أنفسكم. This is in Surah Al-Baqarah. So here is part of it. وَاعْلَمُوا, and know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is within yourselves. So what khatar you have, what thoughts you have inside. فَاحْذَرُوا. So beware of him. So according to the Arabic language, this ha at the end, فَاحْذَرُوا, is an object. So it can mean him, which is beware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it can also mean it. So beware of it. Beware of it, referring to what? To the word ma. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is in yourselves. So beware of this thing that is yourselves. So beware of what is in yourselves. And one good support to this is the remaining of the ayah. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ حَلِيمٌ. Ghafur means that he will forgive you for what is in yourselves. And Halim, he will forbear you. So he says here, know that Allah is aware of what is in your hearts. So beware of him, or beware of it. Beware of what is in your hearts. And know that Allah is all forgiving and most forbearing. SubhanAllah. And this ends the chapter that we had 3 sessions into this chapter, the chapter on the promptings of shaitan and how to approach them. We have 2 more chapters left in the book, and we have 3 more sessions, inshallah, left. So most likely we'll just cover the 2 chapters in the 3 remaining classes, or we may just have the 2 chapters in 2 classes, and the last class we will have it specifically for the Qareen that we talked about before, or for Tazkiyatun Nafs and Riyadatun Nafs, how to discipline the self, from another part of the book of Ihya Ulumuddin by Imam Ghazali. So I leave it open now for you, for your questions, reflections, or comments, inshallah. Yeah, Sister Lina, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for the informative session. When you mentioned about Madakhil al-Shaytan, and how to start with an advice, I think we go through this unintentionally, thinking we want to be nice and good to others.
Mhm.
So we fall for the first trap. And then it just drags on, or when we wake up and we realize it drifted us. And unintentionally we feel when you receive compliments, there is a fine line between yeah, that feels good, and it's like أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, I just want to. So how can we kind of I know you said dhikr and remembrance, but that doesn't come right away.
Yeah.
I mean, how can we clear this?
Yeah, this is a very fine trick of shaitan, that he will come in the form of advice. And as human beings, we are naturally inclined to love when someone praises us. I mean, we like good words, kind words that are mentioned. Self-compassion, people like to compensate and relate to those who show kindness to them. And this is all natural, and this is not all acceptable. Imam Shafi'i says, الحر من حفظ وداد لحظة وانتمى لمن أفاده ولو بلفظة. So a free person is the person who keeps the let's say what's that, the the goodness of even one moment where people were kind to you. And he would even relate himself to the person who taught him even one word. So this is a natural inclination in our hearts that this will happen. But Shaitan always does not stop there. He has a longer plan. He has got like long-term objective to achieve. So he will take you step by step. The point is to be mindful of the steps that you are taking. So the first step is okay, that's fine. It can be some part of that for your nafs and some part of it for real ilm to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and real like benefit for the people. But then the second step would be don't do it if they are not going to pay. Now here is a red flag. Are you doing it for the sake of Allah or just for the payment, for the money? Will you be able to give zakah of your ilm, for example, or zakah of whatever you had of property, of capacity, or it is only for the sake of money? If people did not praise you, will you continue doing it? Or because they stopped praising me, I will stop doing it. So whether it was with it for the sake of Allah or not. Even if you go to the second step, which is I will do it only for money, which is, as we said, a red flag, then beware of the next one. He would say, okay, now you got the money, but they are not paying enough. Why don't you like increase your fees? Because they do not deserve to listen to the advice that you are giving them at this low fee or low scale. So this is the third step. If you are unmindful to these steps, then you are moving along the way and it will be like a bad, a tragic end at the end. So just to recognize what's happening and always return back to that. One way of discovering this or sensing this, being vigilant against this, is to recognize who you are, when you are, and what's happening here, and to take this moment of asking yourself, what's happening here? Who's in control? Where did I get this thought from? And where did I get this knowledge from? And what can I do to make the balance, the moderation between my needs and between what people need, and between also like my sustenance. I need to get money in order to pay my bills and pay my rent. And at the same time, I am open to give this knowledge as much as I can in a way that will benefit the people. So this will be the balance. Another way is, in fact, to make use of the scales. So modern psychology has got scales for personality, and Islamic psychology also have got some. So I will share one with you, inshallah. And yeah, so I'm sharing the screen for just sharing this. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So it's a website called Islamic Character. IslamicCharacter.com, developed by Khalil Center. This is a wonderful, reliable, and validated inventory of virtues and vices according to Islamic tradition and Islamic psychology. So it's a spectrum that will ask you about 5 areas, and it is free. And it asks 100 questions. You just need to mention your age, your gender, and the place for their information, no names, and then you start. The good thing is that it does not tell you to use like always, sometimes, or never. It gives you this bar and lever, and you have to specify on this level where are you here. The result will show where you are regarding wisdom, regarding temperance, regarding self-control, regarding spirituality, and regarding another area, which is patience, with many things that are included under that. So I encourage each one of you, inshallah, highly recommend that you take the TIIV, the Traditional Islamic Inventory of Virtue Spectrum, and look at how it will be like. I will show you how the results will be like from one person just who took this test, just to see how the results will be like. Bismillah. Yeah, it will be something like this. Yeah, so like a blood test. It will show you where are you regarding in wisdom, regarding reason, love of learning, pursuit of learning, open-mindedness. The good thing is that more doesn't mean good, better. Moderation is the best. So if you are excessively doing it, this is not good. And if you are not doing it, this is deficient. To be virtuous is in the middle. So it is like the dome. The highest part of the dome is in the middle. So these are areas. Then modesty, self-control, orderliness, generosity, contentment, gratitude, civility. For valor, something like patience, agreeableness, compassion, forbearance, courage, humility, protectiveness, perseverance, good opinion of others, and affection. Justice, preserving kinship, upholding justice, loyalty, honesty and rectification, and finally spirituality, contemplation, worship, reliance on Allah, contentment with the decree of Allah, and religious vigilance. In fact, this will be like a very good visual like guide into where you need to pay attention. Like for example here, this is something this person needs to work on more than others. So it's a good thing to take inshallah into consideration. Yes, sister, you raised your hand. Go ahead. Lena. You're on mute. Sister Lena, you wanted to say something?
No, I asked my question. Sorry, I brought
Okay,
my hand
okay.
stood up. I'm sorry.
But
But thank you for the answer and the sharing of the example.
Of course. Sure, you're welcome. Other participants who would like to add, reflect, or comment? Yes, Sheikh Osama, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Jazakumullahu khairan, Sheikhna, for this wonderful insight. I just have a quick question. When you were sharing the example of Omar Radhiyallahu anhu and Sheikh Sharawi's experience, how exactly they humble themselves. So in a practical, clinical sense, if a psychologist or psychotherapist recommends someone to humble themselves, what are the benefits to our hearts? How exactly it will affect our qalb in a bigger picture? So let's say like you have to do it as per the two examples you shared in a very private and hidden way, so that only you and your heart would know what exactly you are doing. You are humbling yourself for the sake of sorry, I missed some earlier part, like what exactly the benefit of humbling yourself in a very private, secluded manner. So how in a clinical sense it is going to help.
Yeah, Jazakumullah khair, barakallah fiqh. In fact, Sayyidina al-Khattab did it in public. So he had like this strong iman that he will not care about his appropriateness or his agreeableness. And so he did it in public. He humiliated himself and the member in front of everyone, and people just were amazed. Why does he do this? And then later on he explained. Sheikh Sha'rawi did this for himself, and then this was reported that he did it after that. So what benefit does it make to the heart? Subhanallah, a broken heart is submissive. And if it is submissive, this is Islam. This is the true nature. This is the default of this heart. To be connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it has to be submissive. And the opposite of submission is arrogance. The first sin, the original sin as they call it, is not Adam and Eve eating from the tree. It is Shaitan refusing to prostrate to Adam. Why is that? Because of arrogance. He said, Ana khayrun minhu. So in order to break this ana, a person needs to show himself that you are not as you think of yourself. You should be doing like inferior stuff. So people can volunteer, that people can do some handiwork in order just to show themselves that you deserve to be in this status and not to think of yourself higher. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us in Surah Al-Alaq, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى. Allah, insan, the human being, exceeds and becomes طاغية, becomes a tyrant. When أَرَّآهُ اسْتَغْنَى, when he sees himself not in need of Allah, when he sees himself self-sufficient. I don't want any help from anyone. It is all my knowledge. It is all my wealth. It is all my property. I have the right. I only have the right of doing it. This is what Qarun said, إِنَّمَا أُوتِيتُهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ. I got this wealth based on my knowledge. So there is nothing for Allah or for the people. Which means that if a human being will transgress and become a tyrant, if he feels himself not in need of any divine guidance, then the opposite is the correct way. We always are humiliated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are always in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are always submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to protect us, from ourselves. We can understand now the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين. Do not let me by myself, even for a blink of an eye. Because if you do, Ya Allah, then my nafs will think that it is self-sufficient without the guidance from Allah, and this will get me doomed. So subhanallah, humiliating ourselves is very beneficial for our heart. And you can sense this. You can sense this in volunteer work. People find spiritual and emotional reward when they volunteer. Whenever you volunteer to do something, you will find the direct peace into your heart. Why is that? Because you are serving other people. But you are not serving them for any fee or for any reward. You are doing it for, from the point of view of the West, for nothing, just for helping the community. But we have a higher aim, which is for pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through feeding and helping the people, the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I remember there was a businessman, like a multi-millionaire or a billionaire. And he reported that he had palaces, he had private planes, aircrafts, he had big sums of money in his bank accounts, but he never felt any happiness or any joy. And one day he was invited by one of the charities in order to go to Bosnia. And they told him, we would like you just to see how, where your donations go. And he went there and he found like a big number of children who most of them left their limbs in the war. And they were giving them wheelchairs. So he stood and he said, one of these young kids came to me and said, Ya Ammi, my uncle, I heard that you are the one who donated these to us. And then he caught his hand, the hand of the man, and he made dua for him. And he said to him, may you and your children and your grandchildren do not need of any of these wheelchairs, and give you barakah because you gave us a new life by giving us these wheelchairs. And they were so happy. The man said that at this moment my heart started trembling and I started shivering and went into crying because of the beautiful happiness that I felt into my heart. the happiness that I couldn't attain by all of my money in any place. Just by giving out, I got this happiness back in this situation. Subhanallah al-Azim. Yeah, so submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, volunteering, doing good for the people, for the servant of Allah, these are all like forms of remedy for the heart to be humbled. And it's interesting that the secularists in this world, all they do is to be left by themselves, individualism. They say, me, me, me. I don't care, I don't like it, because I said so. So it's always I, or me, me, me. And me, me, me is the one thing that we are asked to seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from. So their ultimate goal is something that we try to keep away from. And we remember Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam when he has his first encounter with Sayyidina Jibreel, with the revelation. The first thing he said is not ana. He said ma ana. Ma ana biqari. Not me. So Shaitan said ana khayrun minhu. Me, I am better than him. While Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said ma ana, not me. I don't think that you came to the right person. I don't think that I am the prophet that you are thinking. I don't know how to read. So he could have said, La aqra, I don't read, but he said, not me. This person, this personality, myself, I don't see myself ready for this, or for this status. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even reported this in the Quran, وَمَا كُنْتَ تَرْجُو أَن يُلْقَى إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابِ إِلَّا رَحْمَةٌ مِّن رَبِّكَ. We know that you did not expect that you will be chosen, but this is the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu a'lamu haythu yaj'alu risalata. Allah knows best where He places His message. So maybe it is just for the humility of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and submissiveness and submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he was chosen for this. Because there is another hadith that says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looked at the hearts of all humanity and he found the clearest and the purest of the hearts was the heart of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So he selected him to be his last messenger. And then he looked again and he found the next purest hearts were the hearts of his Sahaba, so he selected them to be his ministers and companions and helpers. Allahu A'lam. It seems like as if I saw a hand was raised, but I don't remember who was that. Or is it something in the chat? Yeah, the hadith. Yeah. لا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين. يا الله. Any other comments or reflections? So did this answer your question, Sheikh Osama?
Yes, and when we were talking about ana, I think when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Quran, correct me if I'm not correct with the ayah, like in Surah Taha, I believe, Innani anallahu la ilaha illa ana. I don't think there could be any bigger ana than this. That Allah himself describing, I mean, what could be bigger ana than his ana?
Yeah, jazakumullah khair. So in Islam, because this is the religion of moderation and equilibrium, we have to always be like in the middle. So self-denial, like total self-denial and like crushing all the ego is not also recommended, because we are asked to keep up to the rights and the duties and responsibilities and to take the lead of the nations. And without recognizing who we are and how we can get these capacities, we will not do this. So one limit is denying ourselves totally. The other limit is arrogance and saying ana all the time. But in the middle is knowing when to say ana and knowing when to deny ana. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said ma ana, but in another hadith he said ana sayyidu waldi adama wala fakhr. I am the Sayyid, the chief, the master of all the children of Adam. And I mean, you cannot have anything bigger than this. You are the chief, the master of all the children of Adam. Then he concludes, وَلَا فَخْرٍ. I'm not boasting. I'm not like being proud. I'm just telling you. This is a fact because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. Tell the people about the ni'mah of your Lord. And this is the ni'mah of my Lord. So knowing when to say ana in the correct place. Sayyidina Yusuf, once he got out of the prison, he said to the king directly, appoint me as a minister. Inni hafidun alim. I am a person who has got knowledge, and I'm a person who have got amana, and I know how to keep the records and keep the grains. So he knows his own capacity, and he's showing his own capacity. And in this context, it was quite relevant to tell them about what he can do. Scholars say that if you go to a mosque and most of the people there do not know how to recite the Quran well, you will be sinning if you do not proceed and make imamah. So making imamah or becoming the imam of the Muslimin in Salah is not recommended that you get yourself to be the imam if you are not like the imam, the official imam of the masjid. But if you know that the people around are not reciting the Quran well, and then you feel still humble and you say, no, I will not do it, any one of you will do it, and then you end up with someone who is not pronouncing Fatiha correctly, you are the one who will get the major sin, the biggest of the sin, because you allowed it to happen while you know you can recite better than all of them, or that you have hifz more than all of them, or have experience more than all of them. So it is not the context to deny yourself here. So it is always about moderation, about equilibrium, about knowing when to say this and when not to say it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَذِلَّةٍ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, but also أَعِزَّةٍ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ. So they are humbled and humbling themselves to their brethren of the mu'mineen, but at the same time, they are أَعِزَّة. They feel this pride. Again, the kafirin, they tell the kafirin that we are very proud of our Islam. We are not inferior to you. In fact, we are superior to you. And this is what was said to Sayyidina Musa, إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْأَعْلَى. And Allah said to the people of Uhud, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ. You are superior. So validation of self-assertiveness, between self-compassion and self-assertiveness, in the middle, not like total self-denial and not total like narcissism or arrogance or kibr on the people. Allah.
I think there's a very thin, delicate line in between, right? And then our heart knows where exactly, whether we are crossing that limit or we are being humble by just saying, I can do it if nobody is able to do that and it's our duty. And then where we are coming close to the arrogance, right? So as long as our heart is satisfied, whether we are not crossing that delicate line, I believe we are okay.
Yes, yeah. جزاكم الله خير. يا حديث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الإثم ما حاك في قلبك وكرهت أن يطلع عليه الناس. Ithm, sin, how to define sin? It is something in your heart. You would like to do it, but you hate that people can see it in public doing it. So if this is the test, then know that this is a sin. This is not acceptable. If you are afraid that you will do it in public, then this is a sin. Even if all the books say that it is not a sin, then it is a sin. Let your heart decide for it, especially if it is a good heart, if it is related to the fitrah. Yeah, subhanallah. And this is al-ithm. Yeah. Jazakumullah khair. Imam al-Shafi'i would say, I'm not sure whether this is Imam al-Shafi'i or Imam Malik. He would say, I wish that all the people would copy my books and will not attribute any of them to me. And they will make use of it just for ilm to dispense. So it is not about my copyright that I did that. It is about the ilm itself, that it will be dispersed among the Muslimin. Imam Malik would say that no person that I debated with except that I would be asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make truth on their tongue. Although now they are kind of their rivals, their enemies in the debate. But he says, I do not mind that truth would be on my tongue or in his tongue. It's better to be in his tongue so that we will be in the same accordance. SubhanAllah. Okay, we can take one last question, inshallah, before we end. Is it true that at a certain age your nafs becomes stuck in a way like in your 30s? If it's negative, it goes to that way. Is true, and in children, it's developing shaped by parents and teens. The nafs of the human being is always in need of disciplining, whether this is a child or an old man. Age for the nafs is just a number. You can have a child like the children of Gaza, for example, who have deep aqidah and manners and steadfastness, just like people who are fully grown. And you can have other people who are in their 70s and their 80s, and their nafs is still like the nafs of a child and behaving in a childish way because they have not been disciplined well. But the good news is that they are all educable. Imam al-Busiri says, وَالنَّفْسُ كَالطِّفْلِ إِن تُهْمِلْهُ شَبَّ عَلَى حُبِّ الرَّضَاعِ وَإِن تَفْطِمْهُ يَنْفَطِمِ. Your nafs is like a child or like a baby. If you leave it suckling or breastfeeding, it will keep always breastfeeding even if when they become adult. And if you wean them, it will be hard, but they will comply and they will accept it and move on. Wallahu a'lam. Jazakumullah khair. So next week, inshallah, we will not have a class. You can take this time to refer to the past episodes, to review, and maybe take some notes so that they can help you with your final assignment, inshallah, which is writing 1,000 words of reflection on what resonated most with you, what you got from this course, and how is this relevant, or will this be relevant to your clinical practice or to your life in general. Jazakumullah khair. See you inshallah after next week. Eid Mubarak to all of you. تقبل الله منا ومنكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. السلام عليكم.